I'm a huge fan of Dan Mall. He's one of the most respected names in design. His courses and content have helped thousands, no, tens of thousands of creatives level up in their career. But when I subscribed to his newsletter, I noticed something. Big creators like Dan can afford to be a little loose with their newsletter. They can send broadcasts when they feel like it with no segmentation and no personalization, and their audience still shows up. Now, I'm not saying Dan does this, but what if Dan or someone like Dan had a smarter system built into their newsletter? What if every subscriber felt like he wrote that email just for them automatically? So I funnel hacked Dan's setup, and I'm going to show you exactly how I'd rebuild it into a fully personalized, automated creator engine inside Kit, and how I think it could increase Dan's sales by at least 40%, grow his subscriber base and his trust, make his sponsors happy, and make his bank account even happier. Let's go. Check this out, danmall.com. Of course the design is this good. It's incredible. It's just, there's a reason why he's at the top of this design game and has influence here. So what I'm looking for is his newsletter. So let's see here. I got it on the sidebar here, newsletter, and I got a nice opt-in right here. Dan Mall teaches, join 62,700 subs, get tips, tricks, tools about design systems, process, and leadership delivered to your inbox every Friday. Great. Stats expectations. We know it comes on Friday, and I'm assuming that this is going to be sent on Fridays. I have yet to receive one because I think I subscribed on the weekend. Okay. So we got the, I know he's using Kit because that's the default success message with the green little pop-up there. What I would have done there is sent them, the subscriber, to a newsletter a personalization form. Maybe use the tool like Write Message, or even just a page on the site that goes to a thank you page, and maybe a video. Dan's great at video, looks great on video. Maybe just say something like, hey, thanks for joining Dan Mall Teaches. Really excited to have you here. Here's what you can expect. Check your inbox right now because I actually have a little surprise for you. But then also have a personalization form that just says, hey, where are you at in your business or in your design career? Are you this or this? Because then what we could do in the background is map what their next offer could be. Okay, so that's the opt-in right there. And I got the confirmation email, so double opt-in. So this is a double opt-in default setting. I don't recommend double opt-in because when you do double opt-in, what happens is Kit now controls whether or not you get to communicate with that subscriber based on if they click that confirm button. If I don't click this confirm button right here, Dan doesn't get to email me. And that's just as a safety mechanism, but what should happen here is automatically subscribe them, put them into a probation sequence in Kit, give them a month to engage with your emails. If they don't engage, just unsubscribe them automatically. Go to your Kit account right now, go to all subscribers, click the little drop down, and click on the button that says unconfirmed subscribers. You will be shocked at how many people are sitting there that you're not allowed to email. And that's it. You can't do anything about it. So that needs to be fixed. I would take this out and send an initial welcome sequence that says, hey, I'm Dan. This is what you can expect. So I'm going to confirm my subscription. And where do I go? The Kit confirmation subscription page. This is another opportunity where I think what Dan could do is a page to personalize to that subscriber's experience, to find out who they are, what their segment is, what their biggest struggle in design is. And then from that, you can send them directly to an offer, a freebie, a resource, a blog post, a piece of content, a coaching call, any number of things. So right from subscription, they should be able to subscribe, immediate opt-in. The first email should come right away and should say, hey, I'm Dan. I want to know about you. And then that should have a poll where they can click, what's your biggest struggle right now in design? I'm struggling to get clients. I'm struggling to level up in my career. I'm struggling to get paid more. Whatever Dan solves, put those 3 segments there. I click one, I go to a confirmation page that gives me some immediate resource, and I got value right away. Okay, next, what I'm gonna do is head back to my inbox, and suspicions were confirmed. I don't have an initial welcome email, and I've waited a little bit here, and I subscribed on the weekend. I didn't get any sort of welcome email. This to me is probably the biggest immediate low-hanging fruit opportunity I see for Dan and anyone who uses this similar sort of strategy. Opt-in on a newsletter form, a double opt-in confirmation, send to just like a generic Kit confirmation email and page. Biggest opportunity there is to get them on the newsletter, send them to a thank you page, personalize right away using a form. And then you could use something like write message or type form. I want to know who you are. On the welcome email, it shouldn't be a confirm your subscription. It should say, hey, I'm Dan. Here's what I'm about. Here's how I can help you. Please let me know about you. Boom, boom. And then we click one of those. When I click, I need to get more clients as a designer. I go to his page that's personalized for me, that gives me some sort of next step. Here are the 3 resources you have to read. If you need immediate help right now, book a call with me or join my Design Systems University, whatever the options are. I found out their offers and I map offers to audience segments. And then we do copywriting. We figure out how to communicate to each of those. Looking at his about page, it's very clear that he is a senior experienced designer and creator, a wealth of knowledge. He's currently creating Design System University, which I'm assuming is his primary offer. Okay, courses for different stages of your design business or design career. See the courses for beginners, intermediate, and advanced. This is perfect. This is what I'm looking for. So this is my mind in a creator engine. This is Dan Mall. It's going to be his creator engine map. So we have his audience segments. We have solo designers, studio owners, in-house leads, design ops specialists, and emerging designers. So these are freelancers and independents, small agencies or studios, designers managing teams inside companies, and we have system-focused professionals building design infrastructure, and business beginners, students starting out in design. So the solo designer offers, they will get the pricing design. So the book, you could buy the book, Design Systems 101, $101, clever, and then one-to-one coaching, custom pricing. The studio owners, they get Design That Scales, Design System University, and one-to-one coaching. The in-house leads, the offers for them would be Design System University, the Design System in 90 days. I'm going to assume, I don't know the exact price, but it's a higher ticket. Let's call it somewhere around $3,000 to $5,000. And one-to-one coaching, Design System U, Design System in 90 days, and consulting. And then emerging designers, they either get Design Systems 101 or the free courses and any number of resources that are on his website. So that's how his audience segments map to the offers. I have the offers here in the offer map from what I could find. So we've got pricing design book, we've got Design Systems 101, Design System University, Design System in 90 days, Design That Scales, and one-to-one coaching and consulting. So then what we want to do is make sure that those offers are associated with a audience segment. So if a solo designer buys the pricing design book, then they should be pitched Design Systems 101 next. If they buy Design Systems 101, we need to make sure, are you still a solo designer? Are you growing? Are you running a studio? If not, okay, next is your one-to-one coaching. We always want to be checking in the background who they are, what their problem is, what their offers are, what they've bought, so that they can always get the next offer in the emails. In the newsletter emails that Dan sends on Fridays, there should be a dynamic call to action that presents in a soft and tasteful way that person's next offer. And then every 90 days, we want to pitch somebody. We want to pitch that subscriber their next best offer with a dedicated pitch sequence in that creator's voice and tone and style. Dan might have a different style than somebody else. I know Dan's good at business, so he would probably pitch it in his way. And we'd have that 3 to 5 emails during the pitch week. After the pitch week, if they buy, on board. If they don't, then we send them back to the Evergreen newsletter where they left off. Okay, we have lead magnets as well. These are all entry points. He has great lead magnets to create opportunities to get people on the list. I noticed on his site that the opportunities for lead magnets are free resources and you can just click to go to them. I think this is a bit of a missed opportunity. Project value sheet template, pricing design, these should be opt-ins. Like, I just get the sheet and that's great, but I would like to be able to give my email, get this sheet, and then Dan can follow up with me in a dedicated welcome sequence about this, and then pitch me something afterwards, and then send me to his Evergreen newsletter. It looks something like this. So somebody would opt in from a freebie, landing page, inline form, modal window, slide in, product wait list. We deliver the lead magnet like that pricing design or that spreadsheet. Then we would do a segmentation initially right away. We want to know, where are you at? Because you downloaded this, I'm assuming you're this type of designer. Let me know. Solo, in-house, working at a company, running a team, let me know. And then we can say, aha, they're going to need Design Systems 101. They're going to need Design System in 90 days. They're going to need one-to-one coaching. So what we want to do, bring them in, segment them right away up front, map the segments to their kit profile, send them personalized welcome emails that send dynamic personal welcome sequence, maybe 3 emails over the course of a few days, and introduce them to Dan, how we can help in your stage as a studio owner or design ops specialist, calculate their next offer, and then pitch them next week after they've joined Pricing Design or Design Systems 101 or Design Systems University to get on the wait list for the cohort. Did they buy? Onboard them, gather testimonials, and then send them your evergreen newsletter, where every Friday you send that newsletter. Or they didn't buy, gather some feedback so we can find out why they didn't buy, improve the messaging and the pitch, and then send them to the evergreen newsletter. And this is where the evergreen newsletter is dynamic. This is the Creator Engine's magic. We want that dynamic evergreen newsletter to have his content, whatever he's writing, put it in the newsletter. And then we have a dynamic bucket, maybe something like his list of podcasts or videos or free resources. And we find out, because you are a design ops specialist, this content piece is going to be dynamic to that specialist or the solo designer. And the content piece will be, because you are a freelancer, this podcast is for you. Listen to this. And that will check who is watching, who is reading, and show them their content. And we map that all in the background so that you just need to send your newsletter and that content piece will be there. Emerging designers will get certain content, in-house leads will get another type of content, studio owners will get other types of content, and then the dynamic bucket with a dynamic testimonial will also be there. So you're sending a great piece of content about what you learned in the design world or the biggest failure you had and how it turned into a win and transformed you as a designer. Dynamic content piece, by the way, you should listen to this podcast because you're an emerging designer and you might consider buying this product. Here's a special discount because you're new, and we check that against their profile. We give them a dynamic call to action and a testimonial that, hey, I'm a solo designer, I'm an emerging designer, and this really helped me. So everything about this newsletter email is personalized. It's not one size fits all. You send your great content and all these pieces are dynamic. Okay, now this would be evergreen. It's all pre-sequenced. So you can have 52 emails, let's say. That's every Friday for a year content. Now, okay, you might say, what if I want to send a broadcast, like a real-time broadcast about that acquisition, or Adobe did this, or this company did that, or hey, something new from me? Yes, send it, just not on Friday. Send it on Saturday, send it on Sunday. Know that your Friday is evergreen and your Monday is real-time, or vice versa. Monday's evergreen, Friday's your real-time letter. And they use the same template that we build, dynamic bucket for call to action, content, and testimonial. And it serves up a personalized email. These are all interchangeable buckets that serve up dynamically. 90 days later, we take them out of the evergreen. We calculate their next offer. Did they buy Pricing Design? Good. Now pitch them Design Systems 101. Did they just change their segment to a studio owner? We need to pitch them Design System University now. Oh, they bought it. Okay, we need to pitch them one-to-one coaching. And then we give them a dynamic pitch sequence. We pull them out of everything else. We pitch them for a week. We get them to buy. If they don't buy, we gather feedback. If they do buy, perfect. We get testimonials, send them back to the Evergreen newsletter. Now they're available for your Monday broadcast and your Friday newsletter with all dynamic content. Now, this isn't what his newsletter looks like. I'm sure his newsletter looks much better than this, but this is just something I mocked up. So it would be like a newsletter from Dan Mall, today's date, newsletter for design operations or design teams or freelance designers. Hey, first name, of course, we have to do that. If you're a solo designer, studio owner, in-house lead, design ops, emerging designer, or anyone else, we have personalized content in that initial email or any email. It's all written out, boom. Then we have a dynamic Creator Engine card with the offer image, subtitle, offer title, description, and button text. And so this will display 60% of the time their next offer, 20% would be content, podcast, or video, 20% of the time would be a survey, poll, or some sort of engagement like, hey, what are you struggling with in your design business as a solo designer? And then we could get more details and data so that we could send more personalized content. Down here, we have a testimonial that's pulling dynamically to send them the right testimonial. Okay, so that would look something like that. And this is a fully closed flywheel. People subscribe, they're segmented, they're mapped in their profile, their kit profile, send a personalized welcome sequence, calculated the next offer. We send them a pitch for their content that they should receive. We either gather feedback from non-buyers or we get testimonials from buyers when we onboard them, send them dynamic evergreen newsletters with dynamic buckets like content pieces, stories, testimonials, insights, videos, podcasts, and dynamic calls to action with dynamic testimonials that are all relevant for who is reading. Everybody gets a unique email. Everybody. The meat of the email is the same. Sometimes, maybe we even personalize that. And everything else is dynamic based on who's reading. It's like a choose your own adventure based on who you are. And then 90 days later, we take them out of everything. We pitch them their next best offer. And then we onboard them or gather feedback back to the evergreen newsletter. And it keeps going and going. We might even incorporate something like Sparkloop or some sort of referral system that encourages people to refer other people. So your evergreen newsletter refers people back into the top of the segments here, into the entry points, and you're growing your newsletter, you're building trust, you're learning about your audience, you're pitching them the right thing at the right time, you're sending them dynamic content, and it all happens just quietly in the background. All Dan has to do is take his best content, put it in Kit in his evergreen newsletter, and let it work. And if he wants to send something on a Monday or a Friday, he can send a broadcast. Just use the Creator Engine's template with everything built in. It'll display the right content at the right time, and he could share his insights. His audience will love it. His sponsors will love it. His bank account will love it. Honestly, this is what it would look like. Now, I actually would build this out, something like this, inside his Kit. I have a series of visual automations and systems that I engineer in everybody's Kit that I will build. And so everything from system-based automations to engagement trackers, sequences, lead entry points, functions that calculate the audience's next offer, determining when to pitch the next offer. It's very scientific, for lack of a better way of putting it. And I've spent years understanding the best way of engineering this. When somebody joins his list and they say that they're a solo designer versus a systems, any of the segments, we'll figure out, okay, what's their segment? And then we'll set up that audience glossary so that we know, okay, they're this or this. And then what we can do from there is determine what their next offer is. We'll calculate their next offer depending on if they're this segment or this segment. And then we'll calculate their next offer and we'll determine how often we should be pitching them. So maybe it's every 90 days. We'll pull them out of the newsletter. We'll pitch them. We'll set up the sequences, we'll set up the lead entry points, we'll set up the welcome series, which will be dynamic based on the person who is subscribing. And then after the pitch sequence, we'll pitch the next offer. Then we'll drop them in the evergreen newsletter. We'll be dynamic and we'll have exactly what I mentioned just moments ago, dynamic content, dynamic buckets and blocks so that every email is personalized. But how do we make that personalized? How do we actually show that? So what I first do is in my Creator Engine tool that I built, I will set up the client and the information. So I have all of Dan's audience segments, solo designers to emerging designers, in-house leads, studio owners. I'll set up his brand colors. I haven't done that yet, but I put his brand colors here. Everything is all set up here. And then what I would do is I go ahead and add all of his products. So his offers from coaching to pricing, design systems 101, and I would add ways to pitch it. So here's the generic way of pitching it. Coaching is strategic advisory for individuals or teams, so on and so forth. For every single audience, if you are a studio owner or emerging designer, I have to fix the UI on this. I would create variations on if a studio owner versus an emerging designer was seeing coaching. Because the way you'd pitch coaching to a studio owner versus a freelancer is fundamentally different. So we bake that into the way that it is stored in the system here. We'd add all of his key kind of content that we'd want to cycle through. So I just put one of his posts here. We'd add engagement opportunities. So we'd say things like, what's your biggest struggle? Or how do you identify in the design world? Or any of the ways we want to engage. And we'd add testimonials in here. Once it's all done, the copy is written and everything is configured, I'd go ahead and take the liquid code that is generated by my tool here. I'd copy it and I'd put it in his Kit. In a newsletter, I design a newsletter template, or in this case, Dan would design a great one and I'd put it in Kit. And so here is a sample email using the liquid that determines who's reading it, just for the introductory copy. But down here is what matters. The Creator Engine snippet with that code that I just showed you, and just an HTML card. I'm just showing you a demo here of what it might look like. So here is an email, and that content that I put in that tool I just showed you, it would show up in the template. And it would be designed in a way that would match the brand of, say, Dan, but we have a one-to-one coaching card. So what's happening in the background here is 60% of the time, you're going to see an offer. 20% of the time, you're going to see some sort of content piece. 20% of the time, it's going to be an engagement. Let me know where you're at in your journey. And so that will roll the dice and it will display that dynamically. Now, if I'm doing this as a solo designer versus an emerging designer versus a lead or a design ops specialist, this content will all change based on who's reading. And so just as an example here, I'm going to refresh this. And now we can see his content piece that I added here, Independence Day. Another email would have coaching. Another email would pitch his Design Systems University right here. Again, if I am a freelancer, design ops specialist, I'm working at a company, I'm running my own company, this would all be personalized based on who's reading. Here's another one. Here's his book, Buy Pricing Design. And we can customize all this easy. You can see the testimonial down there. If I wanted, I can make that testimonial dependent on the offer. If I only wanted to show a testimonial on coaching or on pricing design or on Design Systems 101 or Design System in 90 days, then I can make testimonials show up only on the right offers. So everything is personalized top to bottom. And I would take that code, put it in his template. After we spent all this time mapping out what works, this is where the Creator Engine really shines, as we understand your audience, your offers, your lead magnets, the ways that you would pitch to each person, and then we would install my system into your content. I would configure everything using my app. I would take that liquid and I'd put it in your kit so that at the end of the day, you send a beautiful email. Everything's calculated in the background like I showed you in the automations, and you send an email. It's personalized, it's dynamic. You don't have to do anything other than be you and create amazing content. And that's how I would take Dan Mall's newsletter and turn it into a Creator Engine newsletter in Kit. What he's doing already works because Dan has built trust, authority, and a huge audience that genuinely cares about his work. But with a few smart tweaks like segmentation, personalization, onboarding, and evergreen systems running in the background quietly, he could unlock even more trust with his audience, more revenue, and give his sponsors an even better experience because we can create dynamic blocks for sponsored content as well. And that's the bigger point. If you're a creator making a living from your content, your courses, your community, your membership, your speaking, your list is hands down the biggest untapped asset that you are sitting on. A little more intelligence in how it runs goes a long way. So if you want to see how a Creator Engine like this would look like for your audience, check out the free training linked below in the description. It's just creatorengines.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in another one.